Well, these particular cutting blades came from a quilt shop, but I can imagine that you could cut fiberglass with them. This is what the handle looks like that these go in. So you cut fabric with them. A couple different ones. There's one like this, a little bit different. So those are the tools. That these little cutters go on. They're a double edge bevel, a bevel on each side. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure this is, like I said, this is a quilt shop, so if you're doing fiberglass, making some kind of fiberglass product, these would work great. The blades aren't that expensive. But this quilt shop sends me a lot of business sharpening scissors, so I do it for the shop for free. These are the shops. I can sharpen them better than new. You need to look at my YouTube channel. I've got multiple videos on me sharpening scissors. I do have a custom surfboard manufacturer here in my area, and I sharpen his scissors all the time. I sharpen lots of scissors every week. In fact, tomorrow I'll be at a quilt shop set up out in front of the quilt shop sharpening scissors for all the ladies who come in tomorrow. Check out my YouTube channel. I got multiple videos on sharpening scissors, many different kinds of scissors. I'm not exactly sure what you're asking. I sharpen both sides of the scissors, both beveled edges of a scissor. Hey Jim, how you doing this afternoon? I'm still trying to get caught up. We're sharpening rotary cutter blades today. Here are the type of little devices they go on for cutting fabric. Well, if it comes apart, usually I can do those. I sharpen my pizza cutter on my flat hone. I do it on the Hirito, super fast. I've done that too. Well, I appreciate everybody watching out there. I hope you hit that thumbs up button, and I hope you subscribe to the channel. We're sharpening rotary cutters for a quilt shop today. Not on a sewing scissor, I don't. I will lap or on a hair shear we'll do that, but not a sewing scissor. I've never had an issue where I would have to do that on any sewing scissor. Anything that cuts cloth. The inside, unless somebody else has damaged it by sharpening the inside of the shear. You only need to do the bevels. You got to do them correctly. I have had some scissors that somebody's used a bench grinder or a belt sander to try to sharpen them, and they ruin the inside edge where they're destroyed. You got to have the right machine to sharpen scissors. All right, we can leave that one on there because we're going to switch sides now, and then we're going to polish them. All right, don't hang on. I'll be right back. So it's still got a little bit of a burr on it, so I've got to clean these after the fact. But you can get the burr off with your fingers. But I'll clean them and put a little oil on them. Try to clean them here. See if that gets the burr off of it. Need a little bit more light over here. So I can see the burr on each little blade. And it just comes off with your finger or the towel. I need my little chamois is what I need. So if you're just joining us, you're wondering what we're doing. We're sharpening rotary cutters for a quilt shop. Here's what the cutters look like. And they got little retractable blades in them. And they cut fabric. There's still just a real tiny micro burr on them. I think the little chamois works pretty good at getting the burr off. Let's check a little quality control as we go. Appreciate everybody watching. Hope you're having a good day wherever you're at. It's hot down here in Texas. Do me a favor and hit that thumbs up button. It does help our little business grow. It helps our YouTube channel. So that's what we're sharpening. Woo. Well, I appreciate everybody watching out there. I can still see some burr on some of these. I cut myself. I'll have to clean them a little bit before I package them up. Well, I appreciate everybody watching out there. Greetings from Texas. I hope you're having a good evening wherever you're at. If you're just joining us, we're sharpening rotary cutter blades for cutting fabric. This is the polishing wheel. The other wheel was the grinding stone. So I sharpened all of them. Now I'm basically just honing them, Sergio. Honing and polishing the edge. This machine's got a stone on one side and a polishing wheel on the other. Polishing compound. I'm just using aluminum oxide today. I've tried to do it by hand. It's very difficult. These things are so thin. I mean, these things are like a razor blade. You can see how thin that is. There's not much metal to these. Doing them by hand, I don't know how you would do it. I'm sure somebody has come up with a good way of doing it. I just haven't. I bought this machine. This is a Wolff Industries. Goes on the twice as sharp system. This machine will do up to a 10-inch rotary blade. These are 40-millimeter blades. Now, I heard a couple of guys made a jig that you could put them on a drill. You know, you put it in a drill and spin it against a stone or something like that. I haven't seen it. There's some creative people out there. This isn't super fast either, but it's at least consistent. That is a problem, yeah. So, like I said, I've heard about it. I haven't seen it. I have not seen it done. I would bet there's some other YouTube videos on sharpening these blades. Now I sharpened both sides. These have a double bevel. There's a bevel on each side. I just copy the factory bevel. I set up the machine, the first one, I do a marker and a scratch test to get the right angle. These are all the same brand blades for the most part, or same size. So I just get the right angle on it and go from there. I copy the factory bevel, if that makes sense to you. And that's why I have to flip it over. I went on this side, I sharpened both sides, then I move it to the polishing side, polish both sides, remove the burr, and go. So here we are. This is the last two blades. I don't know how many I've done over there. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 20, 24 blades and 50. And it's going to be an hour by the time I finish here, right? But I started the video with the very first blade. So it took me an hour to do 24 blades. And I'm doing these for free. These belong to the sewing shop, so I'm just going to give it to them. You know, I don't know how many sharpenings you can get out of them. I mean, on one of these, I mean, you can see how much these things can wear, but I can't imagine going past the bevel. I guess I could keep grinding it past the bevel. Here's the other one. So how far is that one? See how far it sticks out? Can you see that? Yeah, it's a lot of metal, you know. They make a bigger one too. There's the larger one. There's the blade for the larger one. They didn't have any of the larger ones. This is my personal one here. I'll test some of them, you know. I'll put them on there and see how they're cutting fabric. You got to be able to test everything. I'll spot check a couple of these. I'll get out some cloth. All right, so we're done. That's the last blade. And with the light, I don't know if you can't see this light. I got a light right here, and I'm shining, plus the light here. I can see the bevel, the burr. I can see the burr on the blade when I rotate it, and I got a little piece of leather chamois here, and I can peel it off. There's a little micro wire coming off. You can see on my hands, it's on my hands. So I can see if there's any little issues. So there we go. It is International Dog Day. She doesn't care. And the other dog's in the house. The other dog won't come out here unless it's quiet. So there's all the blades, Sergio. All right, guys, that's almost an hour. So that's the whole setup right there. You see how it looks. And you can see how you can rotate this. See, this goes up and down. So you can rotate this and adjust it to hit the stone. Now this is the factory stone. I don't know what grit it is. I'll have to look it up. It's a very fine stone. But I think I'm gonna replace this with a diamond like I have on my other machine for the sewing scissors. I think the diamond wheel would cut better than the stone wheel or whatever. It's stone, it's some kind of material, I don't know what it is. I have to look it up. Anyway, I got 2 of those. You know, you've seen me sharpen the scissors. I think you follow my channel. I think you've seen me sharpen. And so they got all these different little attachments for the different size. You got all the different pieces that comes with it that you can put different size blades on it, different diameters. So that's my little machine. I don't use it that much. This is the only piece of equipment that I have not paid for with the sharpening. But I bought it, so it is what it is. Hey, I hope y'all have a great evening, Sergio. Appreciate you watching. I'm gonna go cool off. It's a little warm down here in Texas. 92 degrees, 57% humidity. And I'm gonna go play with the dog since it's National Dog Day. Y'all have a great evening. Take care.